Kyodo News English World。
皆さんこんにちは。こちらは共同通信英文記者のポッドキャストです。英文記者は国内外で起きている出来事について取材してオリジナルの英文記事を発信したり、日本語のニュースを英語に翻訳したりしています。共同通信の英語の記事をテーマにいろんな国から集まる仲間たちと英語と日本語を交えていろいろディスカッションしていけたらと思っています。今日は3人の記者でお届けします。私は堀内純子と申します。2009年に共同通信に入社しました。2年ほど松江支局で日本語の記者もしていました。よろしくお願いします。
Hi, I'm Donican. I'm from Australia. I've been in Kyodo for over 5 years now, and nice to meet you.
Hi there, my name is Peter Mashita. I'm a staff writer at Kyodo. I've been working here for about 2 years now. Thank you very much.
今日は最近政治の担当にもなったピーター記者の記事を紹介したいと思います。ではピーターさんに見出しをお願いします。
So the headline is Oppositions slam Japan PM Ishiba for running away from diet debate.
はい、野党が最近首相になった石破さんを非難しているという記事ですね。最初の2パラをお願いします。
Opposition parties wasted no time criticizing Shigeru Ishiba as he was formally picked as Japan's Prime Minister Tuesday, accusing him of limiting their ability to scrutinize the new government by already suggesting he will soon call for a general election. I am deeply disappointed, main opposition Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan leader Yoshihiko Noda told reporters, noting that he had thought Ishiba, who doubles as head of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, the type of politician who faces up to debate.
ありがとうございます。就任早々衆院解散に踏み切ろうとする石破首相の姿勢を一斉に批判しているという記事だと思うんですけれども、ピーターさん最近政治の担当になってどういった記事を共同通信の英文の方で書いたりしてるんですか
？So since I started doing some politics stories, mainly I write stories about the opposition parties, which is why we're talking today about this story, about how upset the opposition parties have been with Ishiba's decision to hold a very short extraordinary diet session. The diet session is set to end on October 9th, or is expected to, which, if done so, would be incredibly short. And as they say, doesn't really give them enough time to try and hold him to account. Ishiba has only been Prime Minister since Tuesday, and he even announced the timetable for the next election before he was officially made Prime Minister on Monday. And by doing that, some of the parties have suggested that he might be acting unconstitutionally by doing that, because Article 7 of the Constitution says that the cabinet must consult with the emperor to when deciding to dissolve the diet.
そうですよね。全く議論をできないということで非難しているっていうことですよね。
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a very quick turnaround, and it has meant it's put the opposition parties in quite a difficult position, because the opposition parties don't have enough support on their own to defeat the Liberal Democratic Party. But if they work together, then they may be able to do so. But obviously the CDPJ, the Constitutional Democratic Party, has a difficult history when it comes to working with, for example, the Communist Party of Japan. And there's questions about whether they can work with them this time under Noda, who is a more moderate leader than the party has usually had, and whether they can work with Nippon Ishin-no-kai, the Japan Innovation Party, and capture more moderate voters by doing so. But there's just not very much time to bring that all together if there's going to be an election on October 27th.
そうですよね。ドニカンはどういった記事書いてますか？
I didn't really write that much on the actual election this time. I was doing the markets then, so maybe the market reaction when he won the election.
結構動いたんですよね。
The currency moved a lot. So the results came out after the stock market closed. So the currency moved a lot, and that affected the futures market of the stock market, and probably affected the market on the following Monday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So because on the Friday before the markets closed, it was assumed that his opponent, Sanai Takeichi, was going to win. And she had said that she would stop the Bank of Japan from raising interest rates.
Right.
And then, because she did unexpectedly well in the first round, that sent everything into overdrive, right, on Friday?
Right, yeah. The current the yen dropped when they thought that she was going to win.
Right, against the dollar.
Yes, against the US dollar, yes. Yeah, and then the moment that the results came out that it was actually Ishiba, it shot up. By 3 yen to the dollar.
Yes, yeah. And then, and as you say, I was there on Monday at the stock market, and on Monday the stock market, the Nikkei index lost, at its biggest point, it lost about 2,000 points.
Yeah.
そうですよね。5% 近く落ちたんですよね、確か。
Well, in the end, it ended down 1,900 and around 1,910 points.
Yeah.
So Ishiba's had to spend a lot of the early days of his premiership trying to clarify his position with the Bank of Japan. And most recently, he said that he thinks that the Bank of Japan is not at the right timing to lift rates, which means that the markets have calmed down. And today, markets rose quite strongly on that news as well.
そうですよね。だから今結構一言一言にマーケットが反応するので記事書くのも大変ですよね。政治の記事書いてて難しいこととかってありますか？
I think it's hard to write politics stories which can simply explain the details of what's going on in Japan in a way that is immediately accessible to readers abroad, right? I mean, when it comes to me writing about opposition parties, there are so many Japanese opposition parties, right? I think that's something that bothers even people who live in this country. That it's like, what do they stand
日
for and
本
who are
に
they?
住んでる人もびっくりする数ですけど、そうですよね。海外の読者から見れば、こんなにいろんな野党がいるんだって驚きますよね。
Yes, and especially because they have a tendency to split as well.
そうですね。
Whereas one
名前が変わったりとか。
Yes. Well, for example, the Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan is the second version of the party which carries the same name, right? Because it was refounded a couple of years ago.
It's so confusing.
It is confusing. But I try not to get into too much detail on that stuff if I can in the articles, especially on a straight news story. But I do like to clarify that they're left-leaning.
そうですね。
And Noda himself is obviously, Yoshiko Noda is a former prime minister himself under the Democratic Party from about a year until 2012. And that kind of information has to find its way into these articles somewhere every time.
そうですね。
Yeah. So it's always, whenever I write these stories, part of me is trying to balance the need to get the information out as quickly as possible within the story, but also thinking, how much background do I need to slot in here as we go to make it a clear and understandable story throughout?
そうですよね。どこまで背景入れるかってそのバランスが難しいですよね。とにかくも閣僚のプロフィールの記事とか書いてたと思うんですけど、やっぱり知らない人のプロフィールを書くって大変じゃないですか。
Yeah, it can be. So I wrote the profile for Ishiba-san's wife, and then like the new digital minister. Yeah, so for the digital minister, I had to read through his entire profile on his own website and pick out what would be interesting to the foreign readers, and limit the content to like 3 paragraphs. So yeah, it's kind of hard to know what's like important. Like, because they have so many like previous positions, or these politicians, you don't know like what you should highlight or not. Yeah.
そうですよね。どの経歴を入れるのかとか、どういう特徴を入れようかとか悩みますよね。
Do you think it should be compulsory to vote in Japan, Horiuchi-san?
どうですかね。考えたこともなかったですね。完全に自由にやるものだったから、そっか、義務っていう国があることでさえ私知らなかったです。恥ずかしながら。
I believe it's a way of improving political participation or understanding.
そうですね。義務になったらどうなるんだろうって興味はありますけどね。
Do you think it improves political participation in Australia?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's compulsory, so it's like voting turnout is like 90-something%, right? 98%, yeah.
But do you think it makes people more politically switched on?
Well, I'm not really sure about that. I mean, we're not like, the US where everyone's like totally polarized into like parties and stuff. So, yeah, I guess people who go to university or educated, they have some knowledge of political parties and stuff. But
talking about polarized countries, Japan itself tends to vote in the same party every time.
I know,
right?
over and over again.
そうですね。
Yeah.
そういうことが多いですね。
Do you think part of the low voter turnout is people think like it doesn't matter anyway? Like the same party will just win all the time. So what's the point?
そういうのもあると思いますね。どうせ自分が入れなくたって勝つだろうとか。いや、楽しみですね、選挙。
Yeah. Well,
大変そうだけど、仕事は。ありがとうございます。それでは、そろそろ終わりの時間が来ました。共同通信では共同ニュースプラスというサイトで日本や世界で起きた出来事について英語のニュースを発信しています。今日ご紹介した記事も掲載されていますので、ぜひチェックしてみてください。それでは皆さん、See you next time!